Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Mark O'Brien. I'm a director at CM First Group, and welcome to our quarterly webinar for the worldwide CA2E, CA Plex, Broadcom community. We've got a really exciting lineup for you today with featuring two live demos. And my job as the MC here, I'm going to introduce you to Roger Griffith, who's the president of our user community group. And then our speakers are going to be Andrew Leggett, who's a senior engineer at CM First Group, and then Wim Jongman, CTO of Remain Software. So housekeeping items. In your panel, if you're in as a participant, you'll see a chat place here where you can put questions into the console and we'll answer them at any time. And welcome your, basically we've got quite a few people on today, which is great, some familiar faces and a lot of new ones. And it looks like we have about 12 or 13 different time zones covered around the world, which is very typical for us. So anyway, I'm going to turn this over to Roger Griffith, our president, and he'll take it away, Roger.
Thank you, Mark. As Mark mentioned, we really do have a tremendous webcast for you today. We've got two really high quality lightning talks. We're going to the first one is going to be on modern CA Plex applications by Andrew Leggett. And Andrew he got the best session award at the most recent conference, and it was on this topic. So I know you're going to really enjoy it. Our second lightning talk is going to be on application lifecycle management for 2E, and it's going to be from Wim with Remain Software, and he is coming to us live from Amsterdam. That is really cool. Mm-hmm. We're also going to be
it's King's Day today.
Fantastic. We're also going to be talking about some new product support option available to you. We call it aggregation. Mark's going to talk about that. And Mark's going to also discuss the planning for the 2023 Worldwide User Conference. And that conference is going to be hosted. It's going to be in Miami. And last but not least will be a little discussion about the best session awards from summer. So we'll go to our first poll question, I believe. So poll question number 1, how did you hear to register for this webcast? Your options are, did you receive an email? Did you hear about it from a coworker or a friend? Maybe on LinkedIn or Facebook? Okay, poll results, 65% of you received the email, and 10% heard about it from a coworker or friend, 16% LinkedIn, 10% Facebook. All right. All right, so our first lightning talk today is going to be on modern CA Plex applications. The speaker is Andrew Leggett. I had mentioned that he is a leading expert on this particular topic, and he did win the Best Session Award at the Plex conference. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Andrew.
Well, I'll get started. So, hi everyone, I'm Andrew Leggett from CM First. I'm going to be talking about modernization around CA Plex and CA2E applications. So this is the webinar for the Plex 2E community. So pretty much most of you will be involved on a daily basis with your Plex and 2E applications, so you know how valuable they are. So some of these systems are 10, 20, maybe even 30 years old. So there's years of business modeling and requirement. You know, as the business changes, the applications evolve with the business. So there's years of enhancements, fixes, customizations. Of course, you've got the user knowledge and training. and the developers, they know the ins and outs and the quirks of the application. And then there's the data that's been collected and processed over the years. So these systems, these Plex and 2E systems, have a lot of value, and in many cases they are irreplaceable. They're critical for your organization, for your customers, for your users. They're used on a daily basis, and you can't just replace them with an off-the-shelf package. That's just not going to happen. So, as I said, some of these systems are, up to 30 years old. They were developed using the technology that was available at the time, but as we know, technology is constantly moving and evolving. So some of these systems are beginning to kind of show their age. So for 2E, they are green screen applications by their nature, and they are constrained to the IBM I platform. And with Plex, a lot of them were developed around the, use the WinC client, which was based on the kind of Windows 95 era. So that's beginning to look a bit dated. And then, the challenges running these applications now. You need to find compatible runtimes. ActiveXs need to be installed and maintained. Windows support. You don't know if the next version of Windows is going to suddenly break your application. Same with Visual Studio support for building these applications. And both the green screen and the WinC applications have got limited options to extend to interface with and integrate with modern systems. Also, perception is important. If you show these applications to a graduate, they're going to see them as pretty ancient. Also, if you sell software and you present these to potential customers, they're going to look dated, and it's not going to reflect positively. So the good news is we do have options for modernization. And the good thing about Plex and 2E is that they take advantage of model-based design. So you model your business first, and then implementation is applied later. And this is why something that could have been written before the web was even thought of can now run in a web browser. So we can take advantage of this model-based design as part of our modernization. So we're going to look at replatforming the front end, modernizing it, but we can still maintain the functionality and the familiarity that our users have with the system. We also have options for replatforming the back end, so we can deploy to different platforms. And all of this while maintaining developer familiarity. Don't have to it's not a whole new skill set that's required. And with the modernization, you have options to expand and enhance the existing functionality and to integrate with other modern applications. So the two paths I'm going to look at for CA Plex, I'm mainly looking at WinC applications. We'll look at the path to modernize to WebClient, or optionally the .NET client. And for 2E users, we have an extra step in here, which is the M3 process. I'll be talking about that, and that will transform your 2E model to a CA Plex model, and then from there you can take advantage of WebClient or .NET client. And also when you're upgrading to Plex, you have more server options available. So you can keep the same server functionality, but you can deploy to different platforms. And if you're a 2E developer, you can still stay on RPG, RPG4, if that's what you want to use going forward. And with extra options for modernization, you've got control over your server operations. Nowadays, we have hosted services that can take away all the headaches of running a server room or configuring networks, etc. With modern applications, all that can be farmed out if you so wish. So looking at CA Plex first, there's a lot of 2E developers here, so I'll just kind of give an overview here for them. So with Plex, it's a model-based design, so it's a successor to 2E. It builds on a lot of the philosophies of that. And in addition to this model-based design, you can have inheritable patterns. So these are just common business operations that you can create in an abstract way and then apply them. So it kind of gives you consistency throughout your application while reducing the areas that need to be maintained. So Plex works on a client-server architecture, so you can have a different platform for the client and the server if you so wish, and it also has support for multi-tier platform. So you could have a web front end talking to a Linux server, talking to an AS400, and all that is all controlled by the Plex runtime and just runs seamlessly. And Plex can generate many languages, and all these different languages can coexist in the model. So your same application, the same functionality can be just generated for, say, Java or .NET or RPG. So there's big advantages there. And the supports for pretty much every relational database available. So WebClient is CM first product, and this allows you to take your Plex application and generate it as a web application. So you generate it with the Plex Java client, and then we apply HTML5 and JavaScript templates to it to produce a standalone web application. So it will work in the browser just like any other web application, but provide the same desktop experience that your desktop application already has. And it's customizable, so you can add your own HTML and JavaScript templates. So if you want to add a map or a Twitter feed to your panel, you can do, and you can interact with it via your action diagram. So plenty of options there for modernization. So being a standalone web application, your Plex application can run anywhere with a screen pretty much. Nearly everything has a browser these days, so it could be phones, tablets, smart TVs, obviously the desktop. And your users will already be familiar with browser applications, so this can fit in alongside those. Deployment is simple. All the dependencies are all packaged into a single file, and if you so wish, you can deploy to the cloud and just make it available anywhere in the world. The .NET client, you can generate directly from CA Plex. So this requires a Broadcom generator, license generator. So you just take your existing WinC application, change the configuration, and you can generate for that. So it's mainly for desktop applications. You can apply a modern user interface, which is customizable with XAML, which allows you to modify the style, the colors, and all the other elements on your panel. You can make them, really pop. And being a .NET application, it can interface with other .NET libraries and controls. Can interact with other desktop applications such as Microsoft Office. And with click once deployment, you can always ensure that the user has the most up-to-date application. So when they launch the application, it checks to see that you have the most up-to-date runtimes, and so you don't have to install anything directly. So coming from a 2E point of view, we have the M3 methodology, and that allows, that's CM first process, which takes the 2E model and it migrates it to a Plex model. So this process will maintain the model relationships, the action diagram edit points that the developers are already familiar with. It can maintain the screen layouts and implementation names. So from a development point of view, it's you already know kind of where to make your changes, where to fix things, which functions call which other functions. All this will come across as part of the M3 process. And from a user point of view, the application experience is going to be familiar, so you can keep all your function key, like F3, F4 key presses. They'll all work in a browser, so the users won't need to be retrained to use the modern application, but then they have the advantage of running it in a browser alongside the other kind of modern web applications. Plus, you can take advantage of CM WebClient and add extra components to the screen as well. So you've got lots of opportunity for growth there. So it'll be familiar to developers and users. So the M3 process, so this is a presentation on its own, but just as a kind of a high level overview, we take the existing 2E model, so it doesn't matter if it's a COBOL or RPG generating. We analyze that, and we take that as an XML file, analyze it, and then transform it. And this is kind of an iterative process. So this we've run through this several times. There's largely automatic, though there is some manual refactoring that the CM First team will perform. And the end result is that you get a CA Plex model that you can now generate for Java, .NET, C#, deploy to the web or mobile devices, and or deploy to Linux, Windows. And all this is warranted by CM First to make sure you're happy with the transformation. But you end up with effectively the same application, but now you have a lot more opportunity to expand and modernize. So just to kind of sum up, there are options available for longevity. So you can build on your existing application, keep all the functionality and years of work that have gone into your application, and you can add years to the lifespan. So you can keep everyone happy. Management are going to be happy because they now have a modern platform, but they can build on top of the established system. There's no need to rewrite anything from scratch. You can just sort of carry on maintaining it as you have before. So it saves a lot of headaches there. You don't have to retrain users. So the users are going to be happy. They can use a new modern application alongside the other modern applications they use. And for developers, they can build on their existing system knowledge, but they're going to have fewer constraints going forward. So if you're interested in modernization, please contact us at CM First. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew. So I think we have a poll question coming up next here. All right, poll question number 2. Are you replatforming? So are you considering replatforming from 2E or Plex? Your options are: you've already done it, you're currently in the process of doing it, we're planning for it, or no, you're not interested. All right, so 43% of you are not interested, at all in replatforming. 31% of you are planning for it, probably haven't started yet. 20% are in the process of replatforming, and 6% of you have already done it. What I'd really like to see in a future webcast is to hear from the 6% of you who have already done it, and kind of hear about what your experience was, and kind of some of the things that you learned in going through that process. So thank you everyone for your response to that very important poll question. All right, so our second lightning talk for the webcast is from Wim Jongman. He is the CTO of Remain Software. He's going to talk about application lifecycle management for CA2E. So take it away, Wim.
So this is how I look. I'm in orange today because it's, like I said earlier, it's King's Day. So I think that is the biggest party in Amsterdam of the year. But I'm really glad that I can spend also some time with you guys. Okay, so my demo is going to be about change management in a sign-on model. And yeah, I'm going to just roll over it and hope I can give you a good impression of how we handle change management in the model. Okay, a little bit about Remain Software. Remain means Release Management International. So we have been working on DevOps. First it was software change management, then application lifecycle management, and now it has evolved into DevOps. We have been doing that since 1992, and yeah, we have built up quite a presence in that area. We're from the Netherlands, hence the tulip field. When we now look out the office window, this is what we see. It's springtime, all the flowers are out, and it's just lovely. So I have a lot of sheets normally, but I'm just going to cut to the core here, and I'm going to talk to you about let's say the DevOps flow or the change management flow. And in each step, I'm going to show you the work that needs to be done in that specific area. So it starts in the top with the user, with the organization, with the customer, depending on what kind of organization you are. So the user is filing an issue in your central ticketing system, right? Having a central ticketing system is very important, and there must be maybe hundreds, maybe at least 100 different ticketing systems. And the popular ones, well, we know them like Jira, OTRS, Azure, Zendesk. So this is a kind of process that we would like to have in place where everybody files the issues in a central repository. So for this demonstration, I have filed an issue inside Jira, probably familiar to many of you, but they all sort of work alike. You can file an issue, you can assign it to a person, you can add comments and attachments, and then you have filed your ticket. So I filed here an issue, says create an order maintenance program, right? So apparently there is no order maintenance program, so we are going to create one today, very lightweight, obviously, and we're going to show you in that development process how change management is integrated inside Synon. Okay, so the ticket is there. So obviously, then somebody will receive that confirmation. Somebody filed an issue in our central ticketing system, and this person is going to be the bridge between the business and the IT. So somebody who knows the application very well, but also knows the business very well. And this person is going to do an assessment of the change. So what this person might be doing, he can go to the change management interface. So this is a graphical user interface running in RDI. We also have a standalone application, so without RDI, and also we support the green screen. So inside our GUI over here, you can see this is our navigation pane, and there is a Jira node over here, and yeah, there's this My Tasks node, and here I can see Create Order Maintenance. So we're pulling the information from the central ticketing systems into the workbench of the developer. So the developer can now say, okay, hey, I'm going to open this in the browser to add comments and to take a look at it. But for now, I'm just saying, okay, well, we want to create an order maintenance program. So let's do a little bit of an investigation. So inside this little view over here, and yeah, inside this view are all the applications of all the objects inside your application. So if you have a model, we will load all your model objects into this table. We will load all your RPG programs or your physicals or your tables, all your IFS objects. Everything will be inside this table. So then we can start Googling our components and say, okay, what do we have with order? So we have an order portal, order entry system, right? So this person can then take a look and say, well, okay, investigate a little bit what needs to be done for that specific application. Another application that we have in this area. So what you see here is all your components in on the IBM I natively. So in your Synon model, in libraries, and in IFS directories. But from the previous talk, what we also are seeing is that we are going to also create outside connections. So to .NET or to web applications, and yeah, obviously, if our core is on the IBM I and satellite systems are using our database and our service programs and going into the IBM I, when I'm changing a file on the IBM I, it would also be nice to know, okay, what .NET applications are using it, what Java applications are using it. So for that, we have developed a function called xref, which is part of the TDOMS suite, a standard part, right? No extra module. And then you can just say, hey, listen, I want to search for the order term. So what this does, it will investigate all your sources. So if they are generated in C, if they are in .NET, in Java, in Subversion, in Git, on GitHub, or wherever, it doesn't matter. This little application will index all your sources. So for people that have to do an analysis, when they type something in like this and press finish, and then having the result like this, okay, this is a very generic query, but you can see, oh, there's a JavaScript function. I have a Java component, and all of these contain the order file. They go into it. So if I make a change into that file, then I can also see which PHP or JavaScript applications outside of that also making use. So this is an enterprise cross-reference. Okay, great. So now we have done the analysis, and of course, I have to skim over a lot of things. It is a presentation on its own. This person says, well, this looks good. I don't see that we have an order maintenance at the moment, order maintenance program at the moment. So I'm going to assign this to my development team. So from this ticket, the technical lead, maybe I can call them like that, will link this to a task on the IBM I. So we are going to create a new task in our Synon application. So I have this dem2e application for this, specially made for this demo. And now I can say, okay, please create the order maintenance program, like that. Okay, so what will happen here, we will create a task on the IBM I in our change management system, but we will also make a link into Jira. So if I refresh over here, I will see that there is going to be a new link that says, okay, hey, this is linked to a component inside Change Management IBM I, and if I click on this, it will open a web page with additional information. So for us, it is important that the link between the end user, between the business and the technical team is always available, right? And in this way, you can see how we manage that. Okay, so now it has been assigned to a developer. So what the developer will typically do is work with their tasks. And that's also the reason why this is on top of the navigation list. There is a filter over here called Synon. And now we can see that there is a new task, F000119, create order maintenance. And if I open this up, I can see it is linked to that Jira item, again, for the connectivity in the business. And this is our graphical user interface, but I also have that green screen work management. So if I go in here, and let me see if I'm in the correct environment. Yeah, I am. I can go to my fix maintenance function, and in here I will see that there is this task F19, and I think it's option 32. I can also see, okay, it has been linked to a Jira item, and from here I can also click and go directly to that Jira, right? So connecting the green screen of the legacy development to the complete development process. Okay, create order maintenance. It has been assigned to me. So what I now want to do is I'm going to create a sign-on object. So I have this user option called Y2. Yeah, you're very familiar with that option, and it will also go into the model like this. So I go into my designer menu, and I'm going to edit database relations. First, I'm going to inspect if I already have something with order. I don't. So now I'm going to create order known by order ID. Let me make this like that. And order has order number, etc., etc. Right? So that is, oh, I think maybe I'm not sure if I have to do that. Okay, so this is my new file. I'm going to press F10 to create that. So I'm going to make a ref out of this, and then from this I'm going to make what is this again? It is a ID field, and this is going to be a code field. Is this correct? Ooh. It is. Okay, so now I created this object inside Synon, and Synon now says, hey, this is a new object that cannot exist just as an orphan in the model. We need to add change management to it. So just show me the task that you want to connect it to. So it says, okay, this is task 119. And a couple of objects are going to be created. Okay, so this is not correct. So what can I do here? ID. It is a, I bet you're all saying, yeah, you have to type this in. What can I type here? Any of the panelists have an idea to type the key here? Is it?
Sorry, no, I'm not TUI developer.
Okay. Okay, let me just quickly take one question mark. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so value code. I think I can just also take code. Yep, let's try that. Okay, so another object is going to be created, and now I have my order file. Okay, so if I now go out of my model, and go back into my task, you can see that the task status has changed from new to dev. And if I go in here, you can see that all the things that were generated by sign on, like so, these are sign on objects. They are now attached to the task. Okay, so let's go back to the model. So what is also happening in the meantime is that we are creating a model object list with the same name as the task. So we can also work only with the models associated to that task. Okay, so I'm going back in here. And we are going to find my order. And we are going to create the access paths for it. Okay, so now they are created. And what we can do next is generate these objects. Let's just first refresh the fix. So I've showed you the fix in the green screen. Still in the GUI, is it still new, status new? But if I refresh here, you can see that the access paths have now also been added to the model. So we have added all the sign-on objects to the task, but not yet the generated objects. So let's generate the objects like this. So we go with J. So we ask for source generation, and then we are going with F17. And then we're going to submit the model creator request for these three sign-on files. Okay, I think I have to do no now and F5. So all these object has been generated. So the same thing will happen for the functions. So I go in for the functions. The default functions will be generated. Two of them are implementation objects. They are generating programs, and they will also be generated. But it is basically the same idea. You just start coding inside the model, and we in the background will take care of attaching all those components to the task. Okay, I'm getting out of here as well. Going back to the task. So still, we only have the sign-on objects attached to the task. What we now want to do is we want to also add the generated objects. So to do that, we have to tell the task, listen, I'm basically done with my first generation cycle. Please investigate the model and load all the generated objects also in the database and attach them to the task. Okay, so here we see now the whole family of this start of the order maintenance program. So we can see the file LF over here and the file PF, the messages from the message file that have been also generated. Yeah, so this is now ready to be deployed to the test environment. So I can also open up an alternative view. It's so in development 13 has the same components as we list below, only they're grouped a little bit differently. So I can see here, okay, the access path and the file PF and the messages. We can yeah, find them a little bit more easy. When I go into my components view, so without any search, I can see all my components from my model. Okay, so now I can see all the components from my model, all the fields, everything is inside here. And if I click this icon, you can see that this icon has the same icon as my task. So this means only show the components from the task in your components view. So to give you a little bit of an impression what you can do with those, we can, for example, do an impact analysis. So if I go into my ref file here in my Synon object, and I can do, okay, give me a impact analysis, then it can will tell me, okay, listen, this is your ref, and these are all the components that are associated with it. And if I then go into the rep, which is the physical file, it says, okay, yeah, it points back to that reference file, and this is the object, the generated physical file inside your library. And then if I click through, I can see, okay, well, we have two indexes associated with that physical, and if I click on that logical, sorry about that. So if I click on the logical, then obviously we would see the functions that were assigned to that were using that logical. So the complete cross-reference is available from this impact analysis view. And yeah, this just shows you the basics, but we can also do a drill down. And if you are using, for example, X-analysis, we also have an interface with X-analysis where, we can do a deep dive in the model straight from this point. All right. Okay. So let's. I hope that was clear how we just program and do change management at the same time. So the developers, they have now delivered something beautiful using the tools, and the components are now sitting in our generation libraries. So now the next step would be to go to our technical lead again with some kind of stand-up meeting and say, okay, we have made this change, technical lead, other developers, what do you think about it? So this is also the place where we can run unit tests and do things like that. So this is the place where we say, okay, now we're going to offer that to the first line of quality control, so to say. So what we can do here is we can say right-click on the task and then promote. So I'm going to promote this component to the next environment.
So,
inside,
hey, Vim,
Yeah,
in the interest of time here, we're coming up, and we've got a couple more things we've got to cover. So
I'm almost done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm wrapping up.
Perfect.
So this part says, okay, I'm going to promote this. So the next step is, so let me just do that one more time. So I right-click my task over here. I say promote, and this will take it to the next stage of the development cycle. In this case, it is test. So this is the last thing that I'm going to run. So here I'm going to type my password just to prove that I am the guy that does the transfer. It's going to promote everything to the next environment. Also does locking of the model object, so we don't accidentally change them anymore. And we are going to deploy the generated objects, in this case, to a remote system in one go. So pressing finish, this will happen, and you can see it will be, Okay, so now everything is inside the test environment on the local machine, and it is being distributed to the remote machine, waiting for an answer for the remote machine to say, okay, everything was implemented okay here, you can continue, and it is done. So it says it's okay, so now we're finally officially in test. All right, so yeah, then the next part is just, okay, we have seen it, looks great. Next part, we're going to involve the business, we're going to bring it to the UAC environment, and then finally we take the last step to deployment in production, and then our cycle is complete. That was it. I'm sorry I took too long time.
Thank you, Vim. There's a lot of information here, and I think that you did a tremendous job of covering it, and we appreciate your time for that. There's obviously a lot more. I would just recommend for anyone, if you have an interest in that, please reach out to Vim, and I'm sure he can provide you with all the details that you need. So I think we have a poll question coming up next. And so this poll question is on, do you currently use a change management tool? Your options are yes, you use a commercial tool, or yes, you have an in-house tool that you have developed for your organization, or you may be interested in a tool in the future, or you're not considering change management at all. All right, so the vast majority of you, 52%, currently do use a commercial tool. 12% have an in-house tool you have developed. 20% of you may be interested in the future, and 16% are not considering change management at all. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Mark, and he's going to talk about some new CA, TUI, and Plex licensing options. Take it away, Mark.
Thank you very much, Roger. As we've mentioned last quarter's conferences, that CM First Group, we're working very closely with ANI Solutions, who you may not have heard of, but they have been a long-term CA and now a Broadcom distributor partner. And we partner with ANI on all things to do with TUI and Plex worldwide. And because of that relationship, they manage a number of Broadcom's product lines, enterprise software product lines. So we have now are able to work with them to provide maintenance renewals, even if they're expired. And so we've got this Broadcom aggregation status, and we can offer subscription agreements, and basically offering with the potential to offer significant savings over some other prior offers. We all know that since the acquisition in 2018, the pricing has changed an awful lot. So it's good to have that. Our advice is always, if you're already on support, and the main thing is to get access to with keys to the latest versions of the software, our advice is to stay on it. But if you have fallen off of it, then you can work directly with me. I can figure out that. And then also people that are taking on the subscription agreement qualify for discounts on things like professional services and training, which we offer, and can certify you on Plex and TUI training that's no longer offered by Broadcom. So that's kind of it on the licensing part. We're also trying to work actively to shorten the turnaround. That's a big problem right now, is it takes weeks to get a quotation, especially for 2E. Plex is a little faster. So we're committed to shortening that. So if you've got a situation, we can basically work with you anywhere in the world. So just let me know if you've got interest there. Next slide is we have the 13th worldwide Broadcom CA Plex 2E conference coming up. This will be in the spring of 2023, literally a year from now. It'll again be a hybrid conference. We've got special events that will be planned for the live attendees. So it always pays to go live, although we understand that some people want to do things remotely as well too. The proposed dates right now are Monday to Wednesday. We checked the calendar for Common and a number of other shows and so forth, and we think that April 24th to 26th, Monday through Wednesday, 2023 would be the right days to host this, and it would be in the Miami, Florida area. That gives us access to Fort Lauderdale as well as Miami airports, so they've got thousands of flights available between us, direct from Europe and so forth as well too. And the next quarterly webinar will go over content, topics, and sponsors to be discussed. As always, if you speak at the conference, you're going to get a free conference pass. And Roger mentioned in the last conference, we did have Bob Grable, the CEO of FNS Solutions, that has done a couple of migrations, and had a really good live interaction with him about the business side of the M3 process and what it means for their business as they continue to expand into new countries and new territories. So that's always always an opportunity, and we'd love to hear the more customers that we hear from, No matter what your project is, please let us know about it. The location and early bird tickets will be ready for sale in September, so that will give people months to work on that as well too. Now I'd like to introduce you to Summer Proch, who's going to talk about the 12th conference, the Best Sessions Awards winners, and we have quite a few there.
Hi everyone, I just want to congratulate Andrew, Bob, Russell, Daniel, and Iman for their outstanding hard work and passion on winning the Best Session Awards. All the plaques were sent out, I think, about 3 weeks ago. So if you haven't received them, you can reach out to me. Just want to congratulate you guys again, and I look forward to working with you in the next conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Summer. And now we have a question and answer session. Roger Griffith, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So do we have any questions that have been submitted? I guess that's for Roger Hammer. He's running this thing.
I have one, actually, looks like it says fantastic presentation. So not a question. Are there other questions at this time? I know there was one question for Remain that I heard from one of our folks about managing object level management, or excuse me, versioning of objects and action diagrams. Is that, maybe that's a question for Vem? Is that a possibility?
Yes, that is a possibility. So you can, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
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 We hear you loud.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we can do that in two ways. We can manage it inside the model with that versioning system that is built in. We're really not too fond of it, but that's a possibility. And we can also do multi-model management. So you can have a development model and a test model and a production model. And in that way, you would have a number of versions available.
I have one question for Andrew that came in. Somebody just texted me, Andrew, they said, how long does the M3 process look like for a candidate customer?
Obviously, it depends on the size of it, and I've not really been involved in a lot of the M3 projects, but I understand that they're all in a matter of weeks. Maybe Roger may be able to give a better, more accurate response. Roger Hammer.
Yes, I'm sorry, repeat the question.
What's like the typical...
How long does the M3 process take?
Okay, sure. That will depend a little bit, obviously, on the scale of your application. Typically, what we do initially to help you understand that is what we call a deep analysis project. So that deep analysis is somewhere in the 4 to 6 week time frame to deeply, as it indicates, analyze your application, come up with all the counts of what can be converted and through automation, and identify all the screens, all those things. And so we can provide you that kind of information. You get a full project plan, a full assessment. And so, whether you actually work with us or not, that's a very valuable step to take to plan your modernization project. I actually do have one other question. It's related to what I asked for Vim. It says, can Remain manage multiple versions of 2E functions, not just the generated source code or compiled objects? And then it says, if so, can you explain how versioning works? I'm not sure if that was the same question I asked, or maybe slightly different.
Yes, it's the same question.
Okay, thank you. All right, through here and see if there's other.
Okay, I
think that's all the questions. Thank you.
Yeah, we have So we have quite a few people connected on the conference here. So at this point, we have a last poll question. You've seen this before. It's called Mint, where M is basically that you want to meet with us or one of our speakers on one of the topics that was covered today. I means that you can introduce us to someone not in your group, but in another group who would be interested in the content. N means put me on the newsletter, the Plex 2 community newsletter. And then last would be the T, meaning that you know about another group that we would give a talk to. So at any rate, I want to thank our speakers today, to Andrew and Vim, as well as always to Roger Griffith and our president and Summer for the acknowledging the excellence in speaking opportunities for us. And everyone, so we're coming into, in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, we're coming into the spring and summer season, and we'll see you all probably towards the end of the summer. So please be safe and careful out there, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next quarterly webinar. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye now.
Yeah, I have one question. Are you guys going to be on Common?
Yes.
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 Okay.
CM First Group and A&I will be at Common, and I understand Remain Soft will be at Common as well too.
Correct. Yeah. So we have a booth. So if people are interested.
That's a great suggestion. So anyway, for those of you who are going to Common, it's in New Orleans. It's in about 1 month's time frame. I think it's May 23rd.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
23rd through the 26th. So basically, if you're going to be in New Orleans, then please look us up, and either we or Remain or both of us, we'd be happy to see you and get to meet some of you in person. Thanks you for that, Wim. That's really helpful.
Okay, sure.
And thank you also, everybody. Have a great time, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep, thanks. Bye.